Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Fatherless Sons. My name is LaShawn Wiley, and I am your host, and this is episode 123. On today's episode, under Building Your Empire, we'll be talking about networking and how not networking can hurt you. Under Couch Time, we'll talk about hairstyles. And stick around towards the end for Fatherless and Famous, and I'll reveal today's episode, Fatherless and Famous. So stick around to the end for that. All right, so let's dive right into it. Building your empire. Let's talk about networking. A lot of people that I know, especially people that's in business for themselves, they get in business for themselves so that they don't have to answer to anyone and they don't have to play the politics of being nice to everyone. So they want to kind of be their own boss, be their own person, and do things the way they want to do things. And if you're in a corporate setting, then there are some people who are just antisocial. They don't see the reason why they would have to network. They don't see any payoff from doing so. They figure, hey, my work should speak for itself. And the fact that I'm showing up and going to the bar when they're doing these events and I'm having a beer and talking to my closest friend, that's enough. But I'm here to say that there's so much opportunity in networking that you could be hurting yourself by not doing so, whether you work for yourself or work in a professional corporate setting. So let's start with the corporate setting. In a corporate setting, it really does matter who you know. And knowing more people and allowing more people to know you personally and know like your positive attributes and things that make you stand out from others, it's important to let people see that, especially if they're in a position to move you up the chain and up the ladder. So you want people to know who you are, and you want to make friends with people and make connections. Don't be shy in the corporate setting. If there's like a corporate picnic or maybe a bar situation where you're at a bar, don't get sloppy drunk. First of all, have a couple of drinks and walk outside of your bubble. Don't just sit with the one person that you sit next to in the office and only talk to that person. Float around, mingle around, meet people, network, talk to people that you don't really know. And I know that could be a little awkward at first, walking up to someone that you don't know and trying to start a conversation. So if it's a corporate setting, just walk up to the person and say, hey, I don't think we've met yet. My name is LaShawn Wiley, and I wanted to come over here and introduce myself. And then the person will introduce themselves, and then you can say, okay, I'm not sure. What do you do for the company? And this is what I do for the company. That is like the easiest phrase or approach line when you're approaching someone in your company that you're unfamiliar with. Now, if it's a person that's high up and you are familiar with them, don't assume that they know what you do. So walk up to them, introduce yourself, and let them know what you do for the company. And then maybe you have a pressing question that you want to ask them. Make sure it's not too intrusive and it's appropriate, but ask them a question, an intelligent question, so you can leave a good mark when you make that introduction and that connection. Now, some people choose not to go to these events, the company picnic or the social event at the bar or whatever it is, the volunteer efforts that the company would do. And I would implore you to do these things, to go out and participate in these things, especially if you're trying to move up, because this is a way for you to mingle with people and get to know them and let them get to know you so that you can build a circle of advocates, because you need advocates when you're trying to move up in the company. Now, let's talk about those who are in business for themselves. And this is why they got in business, so that they don't have to play these politic games and get to know people. And maybe they are antisocial, so this is just something they never addressed. If you are in business for yourself and you are either afraid of networking or you just don't believe in it and don't want to, you can be hurting your own business. You're most likely losing sales opportunities by not allowing yourself to network and get to know people. So you should allow yourself to talk to people and be friends with them and be friendly with everyone, because you never know who's going to be that big giant client that you never really even expected. So if you're at the golf range and you're hitting balls and someone is next to you and they seem interesting and they appear to not be bothered by chatting with you, chat them up and talk to them, because you never know. You never know who this person is. You never know how they can benefit you or your business in the future. They can also benefit your business by offering a level of protection that you didn't ask for or didn't even expect. For example, let's say this this person works for the government or works for the county or works for something where that affects your business. And maybe you're into construction or maybe you're into something that requires licenses or some type of government approval. Now that you've networked and met this person can be an ally. It could be someone who tells you, hey, this is what you need to do to avoid this problem. Or, hey, let me push your application to the front of the line. I know you're waiting for that license. Like I said, you just never know. So be kind to everyone, even if you're in business for yourself. Build friendships, build connections. Don't run from them. Embrace them. And the last thing I'll say on this is most of the time, whenever there's an opportunity for me to expand or get to that next level up, it's normally involving someone else that's around me or that is already at that level or that I work with or whatever. It's you rarely do it by yourself. You rarely succeed all by yourself. Normally it's an introduction or maybe it's someone who's lending a hand or doing something to kind of go out their way to kind of give you a loan or give you a leg up. And, for those who say, well, I don't need any help, I can do it by myself. That might be true. I don't know you, but it's a whole lot easier when you have people helping you and you have allies. So go ahead and network. Go ahead and allow yourself to be a resource and build your circle of resources. You should do so. All right. So now let's go to our next segment, which is couch time. And this episode on couch time, I wanted to touch on something that a friend of mine and we were talking about this. And we even involved a third person, just to get their opinion on this topic. And the topic is hairstyles in the professional world. Now, this really affects African Americans more so than other races because our hair is a different texture and it's a lot harder for us to keep it up. And when it comes to other people understanding that part, that our hair is different textures and it does take a lot more upkeep to keep it up and make it presentable, or what some would consider to be presentable. A lot of women that are not of color, they don't understand the effort that goes into a black woman keeping her hair up. So the question a friend of mine was talking about was, is black hair now more accepted in the professional world? And if so, which styles are most accepted? And if not, which styles are simply not acceptable? Now, most people should know by now that hairstyles is now a protected status. So you should not or cannot be discriminated. It's against the law to discriminate someone or prevent their growth in a company because of their hairstyle. And even though it's now a protected status, I know there's probably still a lot of black folks that are discriminated against silently about their hairstyle. So when we asked this lady, she's a black professional, we asked her for her feedback, and she gave me a perspective that I was not really counting on or considering myself. And what she said was it's more to do with the neatness of the hairstyle, if it's accepted in the professional world or not. So if it's dreadlocks, but if it's a certain styled dreadlocks, it would be accepted, or a certain styled afro, it would be accepted, or even a certain style, a certain style of braids, it would be accepted. But if it's a little more wild and a little more in your face, larger, then maybe it's not accepted, like a larger afro or a wild style of dreadlocks that does not have like the perfect line above the head and the edging and things like that. So that really made me think, is it really accepted if it's, nicely cut and neat and styled, or is it still silently not accepted? I don't know. Leave your comments and let me know what you think, because I'm really curious about this. And I know this is a serious topic for a lot of females and males alike as well, because if a male wore braids versus a female wore braids in a professional setting, then a black male would be seen as a thug, whereas a female with braids, is she more accepted because she's a female? I don't know. Let me know what you think. So yeah, I don't know why I was thinking about this with my friend, and this turned into a long, hour-long discussion. But I thought it was really important to bring up because a lot of people still have to deal with this, even though it is a considered a protected status. All right, so now that takes us to our final segment, which is fatherless and famous. So this episode's fatherless and famous is Adrian Grenier. Now, I used to really like this guy in the Entourage episodes. I used to watch them all. It was really cool to get a peek inside of the lifestyles of the rich and famous and how buddies would live in Hollywood, especially me being from California, living close to Hollywood. It was really cool to see that episode. I loved it. And I did not know he grew up without a father figure in the house. Now, this one is really unique. I have yet to come across a person who I highlighted on this show that has a background quite like his. I'm sure there's probably a lot of people out there that have something similar to this, but this was a little different for me. So let's talk a little bit about him. Now, his mother name is Kyrese, and she was 25 when she had Adrian. And when she was a hippie, okay, so kind of living that free, carefree, free lifestyle and just being free with nature, and probably smoking marijuana and doing all kind of stuff. But she was actually sleeping with two guys. She had a long-term boyfriend, and she had another guy who was actually Adrian's father. But when she got pregnant at the age of 25, she didn't know which of the two was the father. So she did have an idea that John most likely was the father. His name was John Dunbar. And it turned out he actually was the father instead of this long-term boyfriend that she was seeing. So fast forward, years later down the line when Adrian was an adult, it was confirmed that John was in fact his father. But she wasn't really super serious with John. And John wanted to have a family. He wanted to grow a family with her. He was head over heels for her, in love with her. And she didn't want to do that. She wanted to stay carefree. And she basically called it Splitsville and went her way and told him to go his way, that they were both free and single when Adrian was still a baby. So she chose not to be with John, not to be with Adrian's dad, and blocked him out of her life because she just didn't really want to do that. She didn't want to have that type of relationship. This crushed John because John wanted a family. He wanted to be involved in a relationship with her. And because he couldn't have a relationship with her, it was really painful for him to be around his son, Adrian. So he kind of just stayed out of the picture. And it wasn't until Adrian was at the age of 18 that he was introduced to his father and started to build a relationship with his father. I haven't really seen this one before, but I have seen more of the abandoning type of deal. So now Adrian made a documentary when he was at the age of, I think 22 years old, and it was called Shot in the Dark. And he wanted to make this documentary of him finding and searching for his father. And he posed the question in his documentary. The question was, is having a father in your life really life-changing? Does it really make a difference? That was the question that he posed. And at the end of the documentary, when he finally tracked down his dad and they did the DNA test and all that, his conclusion was, yes, a father is necessary to have in a child's life. Now, on this channel, you all know that is what I really do consider to be important, to have a father in the child's life. But it's interesting to see him come to that conclusion and ask the question out loud. So I appreciate him for asking the question and coming to the conclusion that, yes, a dad should be in the life of a child. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about with Adrian is his net worth, like we like to do on this channel. His net worth right now, as of 2026, is $12 million. Is that a big number? I think it's a big number, for him and all he really needs. He's not really focused on making a whole lot of money right now in his life. And he kind of stepped away from the acting scene. As you all know, a lot of people that I have featured on this show are in the stratosphere when it comes to being, a billionaire or a millionaire. Myself, I think $12 million is enough. I want to say that that's my target. If I reach my target and I'm worth $12 million, I think I would be satisfied and happy with that, between 12 and 15 million. When I get there, I'll find out. I'm not there yet, obviously, but when I get there, then I'll be able to say, okay, is this enough? And I would say it should be enough. I guess it really depends on the lifestyle that you want to live, but how much is enough? how much is too much? I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there. Hey, thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and smash that like button and leave your comments too. Share your story. I'm always interested in hearing your story as well. And yeah, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the hairstyle. I'm really interested in hearing from you guys on that one. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you all next time.